Yeah, sorry.
There you go. You look like Rudy Davis.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Give me.
Derek talk to you?
Yes, sir. He sure did. He sure did.
Did you get a chance to review what I kind of read off?
Yeah, I had some questions. I've only listened to maybe 75% of audio one, and there was 2 audios. I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing yet.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should do that. You think I should go back and
we can add live it. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to the last part.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, what I'm trying to accomplish here is, give them an overview of what we're at and what they're trying to do with me, and then ask people to, if they wanted to donate, to be able to get some couple witnesses down here from Nebraska.
Right.
I don't think that'd be abusing anybody.
Amen.
And it's not that horribly expensive to have somebody fly down.
Okay.
Fly back the same day. I don't know. I'm facing 6 years, so.
Yeah, that's crazy, Paul. That's absolutely insane.
It is. Shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know why they ever calculate the time that way. It just doesn't even make sense at all. I mean, to me, it's more like a 1 day in jail type violation.
Right. It's just it didn't stop anybody from buying the property, and the way they came at you with a SWAT team when you asked a question about fingerprints. I guess they had your fingerprints on file already, so why would they require you to go all the way to Florida from Nebraska? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And I mean, my time is worth something. I mean, it's not like I have every right to challenge jurisdiction if they have authority to do that. I mean, it's very possible they didn't have authority to do that. Even if they do have it, I still should be told what authority that is.
Right.
I mean, a man has to tell me he has authority to tell me to do that.
Right. It seems only fair to ask what authority and what law it gives them the right to require you to go all the way to Florida to get fingerprints. Absolutely absurd.
Right. Yeah, the United States can't tell me to fly to Florida. Somebody has to believe that a specific law applies to me where I'm at. It's just common sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. Let me say this too, Paul, and I don't know if you want to make a statement. I know that I have those audios from Derek. Did you want me to publish the audios from Derek, or how do you want me to handle those?
Well, I thought if you want to review that thing a little bit better,
okay,
and then I could redo it,
okay,
with your improvements on it, and then you'd have some. Then when I'm done, you'll have some questions to go with it.
Right.
Now the audio that I told him was just for the general public. It's not the one that I'm going to add another audio, maybe video also, for the people that I want to write the letters and possibly come down to Florida.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a 2-part. One to the general public, just to let them know what's going on, and maybe they can donate if they wish. And none of the money that they're going to give me is going to be wasted. You can always go to the legal fund of trying to write a brief to have the case vacated completely.
Yeah. No.
And then, might be used to give me a little bit of food every week.
Right.
$20 toward that a week or something.
Yeah.
And then also getting the people down here for a witness type thing. So. If a lot of people help, it doesn't cost anybody very much money. So
yeah. No, I don't think that's going to be a problem, Paul. A lot of people are very concerned that you're being mistreated, and that you didn't do anything you didn't do anything wrong at all, and that I got to say that even if you clouded a title, which I don't think you did, and there was no evidence in the court that you did. What's that got to do with 6 years? I mean, you mailed a legal letter, for goodness sake, and you're looking at possibly 6 years? That's the most insane thing I've ever heard of in my life. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone, but I think I did talk with Racer X. We are going to make sure that people are aware of your situation to the best of our ability. And I think it's just outrageous, Paul. And I didn't know if you wanted to make a statement. I do have some questions. I didn't know how you wanted to handle this, but I want to make sure you.
Yeah. If you want to go ahead and run, it's all right if you've been taping this so far.
Yep.
But I just recommend anytime you answer, just start the recording immediately. You don't even have to ask me. Never.
Okay. Yep. I got you.
So just go ahead and ask me questions, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Give me just a second. I've got them here. Let me put them in a notepad real quick. All right, Paul. Here's questions from Racer X. He runs the he runs the freakinhoven.com website. He writes this, Paul. He says, you filed a liens and a quiet title on CSC properties in 2011, and Judge Rogers didn't even put in an order to stop CSC from filing any more liens until 2012. What makes Judge Rogers or the prosecution think they have any evidence for count 6, which is a contempt of court regarding property?
Well, count 6 is related to an order where they told me, first they took those first liens that we filed, and they said they were null and void, which means they were unable to cloud the title by court order. So Judge Rogers made that ruling that our liens were not supported by any facts. Even though we didn't get our day of trial, we didn't get to put anything on the record. We weren't even invited to the hearing. And so they just summarily removed the liens, and which is not that big a deal, because our goal was not to really force a lien issue. Our deal was just to give notice that we're being wronged by the United States here. Where a church is having its property taken away without law. We had this church set up in a jurisdiction that was independent of the United States. The law in America is common law. It's not United States legislative written law. It is common law. Yeah. The law in the United States is United States written law, the Constitution and congressional legislative written law. But this church operated in common law. Common law is protected by the jury of 12. It's not protected. It's not even associated in any way with congressional made law or the United States Constitution in any way at all. So we were completely independent of the United States. Any issue that anybody or any entity would have with us was to go to a common law setting, and they could state their claim before a jury of 12. The jury of 12 to decide the law and the facts. This is something the United States system doesn't want anybody to know, because the United States system would have in their system, they got a 98 or 99% conviction rate. In common law, it's probably down to 15%.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Or much less.
Right.
And in common law, there isn't no judge or attorney that's protecting the truth from being exposed to for the American people to view. For example, the truth that you don't have to have a relationship with the United States. You can be independent. You don't have to join their Social Security system, their any of their government welfare systems. You can completely be independent of them. They have completely enough assets. They own 24% of America. Isn't that enough to defend our country and to support the government from any invasion? And if an invasion does help the people that are living independent of the United States, they've always been eager to stand in arms and be allowed to be consent to being drafted and go to World War II, for example. But anyway, they don't want anybody to know that that our country is based on common law, that we can live independent of the United States, and that the United States is created primarily for a military purpose. It's greatly gone past that, and one of the most fearful things in America is to be in front of a U.S. court these days.
Yeah.
The founding fathers said that if you ever lose your jury, your trial by jury, you will be in bondage. No question about it. They made it very clear that if you lose your jury at 12, you're going to be in bondage. Now, they claim that when you go into a U.S. court, you get a trial by jury. But that jury is handpicked by the United States. You have to be a United States subject. You have to be in their system to be on that jury. The jury is controlled tremendously by the attorneys and the judges. And you don't have hardly, and the jury doesn't get to determine the law of the case. So if Congress says it's against the law to wear a red shirt, the jury has to determine that you had a red shirt on, you get 5 years in jail. Now, a common law court would never put you in jail for wearing a red shirt because it didn't do anybody harm. But anyway, it creates an environment for tremendous amount of abuse. What ends up happening is a man like Ken Hovind can go to jail for 10 years without violating a single man's rights or a single person's rights.
Yeah.
In the U.S. system, a common law court would have never found Kent guilty. Never,
Right.
Because they would have got a fair trial. The United States would have been exposed. That the truth would have been shown that Kent never had a duty with the United States. That he had an absolute right to live independent of them. The whole thing's a horrible injustice and a horrible misrepresentation of the truth of the proper existence of the United States.
Amen. Amen.
What question did you ask?
No. That's good. I want, first of all, before I go back to the question, Paul, I wanted to say a word of encouragement that a lot of people are looking at this, and a lot of people are asking, like, why are you in jail? And they don't understand it, and it doesn't make any sense. And even if that thing says 5.3 to 6.3 years, I can't imagine that actually being given. Not only that, there's just too much light on this case, and I just want to let you know that we ain't going to forget about you. And Ken Hovind is going to get out on August the 9th, and he's going to make sure that things are dealt with in the best possible way. So I just want to let you know we ain't going to forget about you, brother. What can you tell us what happened? Can you elaborate a little bit on what happened with this 5.3 to 6.3 years? What happened to give you the idea that?
In contempt charges, the standard for jail time is not even listed. There is no minimum. There is no max. The attorney said that the judge could give me life if he wanted to. That's highly unlikely, but 5-10 years is not out of the question. Whatever they feel. If they feel that you're, what generally happens is, here's 10 years if you don't like it, appeal.
Wow.
Look what happened to Ken Hovind.
Right.
He did not violate one single law. Not one law did he violate. All he did wrong was he had trusted an attorney to defend himself, who completely sold him out, left him stranded. He got 10 years for doing nothing wrong. Now, if Kent can get 10 years for doing nothing wrong, who's to think that I can't get 5 years?
Yeah.
Or 6 years?
Right.
Who's to think I can? It's absolutely highly probable that they'll say, 5-6 years. You've clearly indicated that Ken got accused of being worse than a rapist.
Yeah. That's
worse than
right.
A rapist.
Yep.
He was accused of being. The judge said he was running a criminal organization.
Right.
Now, how can you be running a criminal organization when you're not doing anything wrong? It's a horrific environment to twist the truth where people on this side of heaven never find out the truth.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely
they
right.
Just don't find they don't find the truth, and 10 years later they still don't know the truth. Thank God the Bible says that the truth will come out. People that do evil things are going to be paid in full, apart from the grace of God. And but as far as the 5.3 years minimum that they're recommending for me is based on the amount of money that they claim that I was trying to encumber, $430,000, which is kind of ridiculous, because Ken Hovind's family bought that property back and paid off the vast majority of the judgment already. They've been trying to do it for years. For years they've been trying to do it, asking the United States to put it up for sale so that they can pay for it. And they just kept delaying it. I think they might have delayed it on purpose, hoping that Kent or somebody in the trustees would do something, and they go, we got you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised one bit that that's what's happened.
Right.
To answer your question in a nutshell, there's $430,000 that they're claiming is being encumbered, even though there's no evidence on the record that my document, my mailing, had any delay in any sale at all. All they have is an attorney saying that it clouded the title, but when the same attorney was asked how did it cloud the title, he couldn't produce any evidence that he's even communicated to anybody that my document ever clouded a title. He couldn't produce any letter, any email, any phone call where he was found telling a client that wanted to buy the property that it has been encumbered by Paul Hansen's letter. Not one shred of evidence did he communicate to anybody that my document clouded the title in any way, until he got into the witness stand and the attorney asked him, did it cloud the title? And he sharply said yes, just like he was. I got the strong impression that he was coached to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wanted to say yes. I think he was coached to say yes.
Yeah.
Because he knew that as soon as he said yes, we were going to ask him, well, how did it cloud the title? He didn't have it. He didn't have an answer to it.
Yeah. Because it didn't cloud the title. Yeah, it doesn't prevent anybody from buying the property, and so it doesn't affect anybody, from actually buying the property. It simply lets them know that there could be pending litigation. It doesn't stop anybody from doing anything with the property. Paul, we're coming down to less than 5 minutes. Can you elaborate a bit more on this letter that you received, and who specifically is recommending you get a minimum of 5.3 years? Who is doing that specifically?
Well, the government basically hires people to put a pre-sentencing report together, and they look at the case, they look at the charges, and they put their recommendation in.
Wow. Okay, so it's called
now, what's interesting with the cloud in the title? Nothing has ever been altered or lifted, or any document filed to remove any cloud.
Yeah.
My so-called cloud on the title has never been addressed. There is no cloud on the title. If there was, they would have put in documents to have the cloud removed.
Right.
Go ahead.
No. So we're coming down to less than 3 or 4 minutes, but you basically at a high level, Paul, you were part of the ministerial trust, and you were charged, you were like duty bound to try to protect property that are part of the trust, and part of that property was the CSC, this property in Pensacola, Florida, right? And so you were charged with that duty, and you mailed off a legal document. Now, you were told to come down to Florida and give your fingerprints, and you sent a message back, and I guess you wrote him a letter, and you said, why do I need to go to Florida? Because you have my fingerprints on file already. Why should I go to Florida? My time is worth something, right? And their response to your letter was a SWAT team with U.S. Marshals, and they arrested you, and you've been sitting in Pensacola, Florida since October of last year? Is that basically what's going on?
Yeah, 8 years ago, they sent me a letter. They told me to fly to Florida to get my fingerprints. I told them, you guys got at least 10 sets of my fingerprints already.
Yeah.
And I said, just show me the law that requires me to leave Nebraska and go to Florida. They refused to give it to me.
Right.
I asked for it on email, so there's evidence. And it was even put into the court record that I asked for this law. It only took them 10 seconds to give me the law in court, but they wouldn't give it to me on the internet.
Okay.
But what law required me to show up in Pensacola to give fingerprints? And they wouldn't give it to me.
Right. And so you asked that question, what law requires me to go to Florida to give my fingerprints? And their response was a SWAT team to your house to arrest you and force you to go to Santa Rosa County Jail.
Yes, I was basically walked out of my house and they surrounded me with guns aimed at my head.
Wow.
Assault rifles aimed at my head, and in front of all my neighbors.
Wow.
And 5 cars surrounded my house, and just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Right. All they had to do is tell me the law that they were relying upon. And you know, when somebody tells me the law they're relying upon, see, that way I could put that person in the witness stand someday. They don't want to do that. They don't want to tell me who is claiming that law applies to me, because it makes one man liable. They don't like to do that. They don't want to do it.
Right.
They by law, they have to do it.
Yep.
I see we got 1 minute left.
Yeah. If you could call Racer X, Paul, you know who Racer X is?
Yes.
He's asking that you call him, and you do want me to get the audio out from Derek's call. That is a correct assumption?
With some editing.
Yeah, I think it's good enough to go ahead and run that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got less than a minute, Paul. You're welcome to call back. I'm going to put some more money on the home wave. You're always welcome to call here no matter what. We're not going to forget about you, brother, and I think it's absolutely absurd that you're looking at nearly 5 years for merely mailing a legal letter. I mean, that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard of in my life, and we're going to do everything we can to bring as much noise and shine as much light, just like Gideon's Army did, brother.
Thank you, yeah. And that letter, all it did was just prepare our stage. It was a stage letter saying that we're going to end up going into court someday, and this letter is for that purpose of that court day in the future.
Right.
Perfectly wise thing to do.
Amen.
Okay, thank you.
All right, God bless, Paul. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Because Racer did lots of research on it today.
This is a Global Tel-Link prepaid call from
Hansen,
an inmate at the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. This call will be recorded and monitored. Your advance pay account balance is $78.87. For customer assistance, billing inquiries, or to block future calls, dial 1-877-650-4249. To hear the cost of this call, press 8 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. This call is subject to monitoring and recording. Do not use three-way or call waiting features during this call. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hey, Derek.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. I met with the attorney today, and they recommended 5.3 years for me.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
The attorney your attorney recommended 5.3.
No. The people that set the recommendations for sentencing time. It's called a sentencing report.
Okay.
Between 5.3 to 6.3 years. Now 3 years ago, the law said that what they recommended. Now they don't recommend it; it's just they do their math, and stuff.
Right.
And the amount of money that's involved and things like that, and it comes up to 5.3 years. But they do put a comment on the end that they don't think that I'm, that I meet the criteria to be 5.3 years to be justifiable. But
right.
That still doesn't mean that judge could easily give me 6.3 years.
Wow.
So what I was going to do is did you put something up on the internet to notify me to call you?
I did, yes, because I missed your call. So you want to do a video recording and send it out to folks?
Well, I can do that. What I was going to do is I was going to read this off to you, and you can get it to Can't remember his name. Rudy.
Okay. Yeah.
Just email the reading to him, and then he can look it over and tell me what I need to add to it, and then you guys can put it up on YouTube wherever you want to.
Okay.
Okay. I was arrested October 23rd, 2014. I've been here 8 months. This is Paul Hansen. The case is Kent Hovind, Paul John Hansen, in the United States is the plaintiff. June 29, 2015 is the sentencing date. I've been found guilty of count 5 and count 6. Both are contempt of court charges, which are basically misdemeanors. Even though they're misdemeanors, the charges that have no minimum or maximum. The attorney said that a judge can give me life for such charges, though highly unlikely. The recommended sentencing is a sentencing report is a minimum 5 years and 3 months with a max of 6 years and 3 months. My attorney said that 3 years ago the judge would have been required to give me the 5 years 3 months. But new laws say that she can depart from that and give less. If I cannot show good character, I can get hammered with the 6 months plus. Now remember, count 5 is associated with simply forwarding a letter that was never filed in any public office and only represented that a church ministry trust had a monetary interest of $1 million in a $2 million plus valued property taken, we believe, by the trustees by the United States illegally and without law. This notice of lien that was never filed had no evidence of clouding any title of any land, and yet the land was repurchased by Kent Hovind's family to pay off the all but $53,000 of a $430,000 judgment against Kent Hovind. The notice of lien, basically it was more of a notice of interest, was done only to let all know that the church was going to seek their day in court, which we've never had yet, to get the land and property back. Now count 6 is a contempt of court for simply not flying to Florida to have my fingerprints taken that could have been done 1/2 mile from my house at the federal courthouse in Omaha, Nebraska. Now remember, they've already got 10 sets of my fingerprints on file already in the system. Absolutely no reason to fly me to Florida to get my fingerprints. The attorney told me that it was just simply a harassment move by the United States. I asked the people that sent me that summons to show up in Florida. I asked for the written law that they relied upon, that I had a duty to leave Omaha and fly to Florida, and they refused to give me that written law until only after a SWAT team surrounded my house and arrested me and charged me with count 6. Okay, now I get the other paper here. Count 1, 3, and 4 were dismissed after the first trial, only days before the retrial for the hung jury on count 1, 3, and 4. And to count 2, I was found not guilty in the first trial, so that one's completely out of the way. So only count 5 and 6 remained, which are the contempt charges. So I am facing 6+ years, count 5, for forwarding a letter for the church trustees to a title company attorney, a letter that had no evidence of clouding or delaying any sale of the church property, and count 6 for simply asking for the written law that placed a duty on a man on Nebraska soil to fly to Florida without a court order signed by a U.S. court judge. For this reason, I'll ask people who know me in Omaha to send character references, statements, or copies to Klotz Law Firm in Florida here as soon as possible. And also original to Judge Rogers. I only want people that I contact to send these references to. Too many will take away from the 15 or so that I am asking for. So do not write the judge for me unless I ask you to. Possibly I'll fly a few people down from Nebraska to testify, to help to my to testify to my good character, if possible. If people wish to donate, go to 2 Peter 3 or contact the host of this YouTube to get funds to fly one or two people down from Nebraska. Hopefully, my pastor and maybe a church elder who I am both close to. So basically, that's the end of the YouTube.
Okay.
Unless you have some questions.
Well, we're trying to digest it. That's what have you spoken to your attorney Klotz and what his thoughts are on that?
Yeah, he just doesn't know. You know, they can hammer me with a whole 6 months, 6 years and 3 months if they want. And look what happened to Ken Hovind. He got 10 years for what appears to be not even violating a law that applies to him.
Right. So have you been actually found guilty of counts 4 and 6?
5 and 6.
Or 5?
Yes, that's the only things that I've been found guilty of, 5 and 6, which I didn't even see. An attorney wrote me a letter and notified me that the court has given me an order not to do anything that would cloud a title, or I could be held in civil contempt. So I took that letter to an attorney friend of mine, and I asked him, and I said, "What's civil contempt? I've never heard of that before." And he says, "Well, that just means it's not criminal contempt. You can't face any jail time."
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
I said, "Oh, okay. I just didn't know what it meant." So now if I would have been told by that attorney, if the attorney, the attorney is a officer of the United States Court.
Right.
So that attorney misinformed me that it was a civil contempt. So I ended up mailing a letter that I didn't think was any way causing a cloud on a title.
Right.
I just simply I was simply asked by the trustees to notify this attorney that, we haven't had our day in court yet, and we just think it's prudent to let you guys know that, we're going to exercise our right, our day in court, and I do that. I didn't even write this letter or anything. I just forwarded it to the title company for them.
Right.
The attorney there, and he gets in the witness chair and he says that it clouded the title. And then we asked him, how did it cloud the title? And he had no evidence that it clouded the title. So I think that's almost a type of perjury, because he said it clouded the title, and then he didn't have any evidence that it clouded the title. Now, what's crazy is the jury found me guilty of violating that court order, even though there's no evidence on the record that it had any effect on anything.
Right.
So, and then as far as the count 6, that's just simply they wanted to fly me down to Florida and take my fingerprints, even though they had 10 times they've arrested me in Nebraska and got my fingerprints. I mean, they got my fingerprints all over the place.
Right.
And we don't even know if they've ever used my fingerprints that they took in Florida to do anything with the case. They might have just used the ones that they had on record already. Just crazy. Just
Absurd.
crazy.
Absurd.
Now I believe that I had a right to due process to challenge if I had a duty to fly to Florida. I didn't tell them I didn't want to fly to Florida, or I wasn't going to. I just simply said, show me the law, and I don't reside on government land. I'm not in no contractual relationship with the United States. So how do they get jurisdiction to pull me away from my jurisdiction into the federal jurisdiction? Most people don't realize there is a distinction between those jurisdictions.
Yes.
And there should be some type of a court action, a type of extradition, for me to have a duty to fly down there. Especially when they've already got my fingerprints in the system already.
Yes. Yes. So do you know anything about the SWAT team or whoever it was that collected you, if you will, originally? Do you know what jurisdiction they were from, or under whose authority they?
Yeah, they were U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals
aided by.
Were there any sheriffs?
Yeah, they were U.S. Marshals.
Were there any sheriffs or any police from your local jurisdiction?
City of Omaha Police Department was there too.
Authorizing.
Probably 5 different. Well, they were just there to help. The U.S. Marshals made the arrest.
Okay, but the sheriff who has jurisdiction in that county, in that location, did the sheriff authorize them in some way?
City police, you mean?
Or city police?
I don't know. City police. I don't think the sheriff was involved. City police.
Okay. And
City of Omaha police.
You were under the jurisdiction of the City of Omaha police at that point.
That's what they believed. But the City of Omaha police, they have jurisdiction on the City of Omaha property.
Right.
I wasn't on the City of Omaha property.
Okay. Which is any public walkways, roadways, etc.
People do not. Yeah, it was in front of my house. There's no evidence that the City of Omaha owned that property. So I was completely in the community jurisdiction. I wasn't in the City of Omaha's jurisdiction. I wasn't in the federal jurisdiction. They should have came to a common law proceeding and asked for extradition.
Right.
Now they're not accustomed to doing that because they don't want nobody to know about it.
Right. Yeah.
They don't want nobody to know that there is such a thing as a common law extradition.
And fly by night, yeah. They're trying to go under the radar and fly by night, etc. So I guess at this point, is there an upcoming case? The next case, I understand it, is the judgment
You have
case.
60 seconds remaining.
Is that correct?
I couldn't hear you.
Is the upcoming case just simply to pass sentence, or is there any further discussion?
Yeah, only sentencing. No, only sentencing. So that's my opportunity to bring in character witnesses.
Okay.
Go ahead and get that to my friend Rudy, and then I'll watch for his thing to come up on the kiosk, and I'll call him on the phone.
Okay.
If you want me to call you back, go ahead and do the same.
Yeah, call me.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna call Rudy as soon as we hang up, and then I'll flash my icon. So.
If you want me to call you, okay.
Yep. Okay. Stand by. God bless. We're praying for you, brother.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep. Great. I need it.
All right.